Hello everyone, I'm Nargiza, and in today's presentation I'm going to talk about creative writing and critical writing. So, in one of our previous presentation, my colleague conducted presentation on present simple tense. Somehow today's presentation is connected with the previous presentation class. So, in this presentation, as I have mentioned, I introduce you to creative and critical writing in simple present tense. So, before we start, let us review what is present simple tense or simple present tense. The simple present tense is used to describe daily activities and habits, like our regular actions or habitual actions. So, all we do for general activities is used with simple present tense. So we could also use this tense in future tense as well, but mostly we have certain adverbs of frequency, so which is used in this tense. They are usually, always, often, sometimes, occasionally, never, and rarely. Well, while reviewing this tense, we should also be careful that this tense is also used for scheduled actions in the near future. So, what we mean here, what is scheduled action in near future like? So, timetables of buses, trains, or timetables of lessons, they are all scheduled. For example, the train for Tashkent leaves at 10:30 tomorrow. So as we see in this example that even 10:30 tomorrow, it shows the action in future tense, but the structure, the formation will be in present simple tense. Okay, very often this action requires the usage of after, if, even if, when, and probably. So we know this actions which requires when, probably, after, if, even if, they are used in combination with future tense. One component of the sentence stands in future tense and another component of sentence stands in present simple tense. For example, I will stay home if it rains. Or when he comes, I'll talk to him. As you see, these examples combine two tenses. First one, present, and the second one is future. Or can be vice versa. The first sentence can also stand in future tense, and the second sentence may stand in simple present. Well, as for reviewing, we should also mention about the formation here that most verbs require s at the end of the third person. For example, third person singular, he, she, it requires a verb with the ending s or es. For example, okay, she wants cupcake. Verb ending in double s, ch, sh, x. O requires es. Mind it there that sometimes students make mistakes or just simply they add s, but very often if the word ends in this, with these endings, we add up es. For example, Hilola teaches English. So, she teaches English. Well, he goes to gym. So, we see he goes to the gym. Well, the third person singular here, he. To express the negative form, the verbs take on an additional verb. So, do not or does not. So, particle not here shows negative form and very often, so in negative form, so we use particle not together in combination with auxiliary verb do. For example, she doesn't want a cupcake. Well, for creative writing, I decided to use one of the interesting methods like method of creating stories, or very often students have difficulties in creating stories, in creating paragraphs, or just creating essays. And today we are going to have a practice on creating autobiography. Well, for this point, so I decided to choose my friend's biography, because it's easy for me to use someone else's biography rather than mine. Okay, let us look at the biography. My name is Sabuhat Khalilova Maniskalkar. I am 44 years old. I am from Samarkand, Uzbekistan. At present, I live in Windsor, Connecticut, USA. I have a family. I have a daughter. She is 7 years old. My husband works for the town of Windsor. I don't work. I'm a homemaker. I take care of my family. I love cooking and baking. At present, due to the virus epidemic, my daughter's school is closed. So I help her with school assignments online at home. It's not easy, it's very challenging, but I try to make it work because these are extraordinary times. So we see that the paragraph is not big, so as it's not short also. So in order to create a paragraph, so we need to first of all think about what we are going to describe. So if you're going to describe the simple event, so if you are going to describe something usual, so which can be in descriptive form, we can use present simple tense. Pay attention here, so almost in all sentences, present simple tense is used. Well, in order to have some practices here, so I would kindly ask you to rewrite this story in the third person singular. So it will make you somehow, a hint to practice on simple present tense. Well, so for assignment 1, so as I have mentioned, write your own autobiography. So you can either write your own biography and create your own biography as well. Well, another interesting, thing for many students is to create the story. So what is the story and how students can create the story? It's interesting. So because students are often asked to create stories during the reading classes or writing classes. So I decided for this activity to choose a story about 4 seasons. So you can start from the simple, and in the same way you can continue and make it more complex. Just start with the simple way. Like, my favorite season is winter. In winter, the snow covers the trees. Everything looks white. The stars in the sky look brighter. But I also like spring. Spring wakes up the nature from the long winter. Flowers bloom in the spring. Trees wake up and start green leaves. I like summer too. In summer, I enjoy walks in the park. I love fresh fruits and vegetables. So again, you see that the story is quite interesting, and you can start from the simple and you can make it more complex gradually, but you can either create your own story in a way shown here and finish the story by writing about the fall. So I haven't included the description of fall here, so you can just include the information about the fall and end up the story. Well, another way of creating story is also like, for example, if you're asked to read any of the stories, but and after that to create another story. So it would be interesting, like to do in the following way. So I decided to choose here a story of slow snails. Okay, let us look at the story and read it together. A snail has a soft body covered by a shell. It creeps along on a foot. A snail makes a sticky slime to help it move. Many land snails eat rotting plants. They lay eggs in the ground. Land snails live in shady places. So you see the story is not big, it's quite short, but I included bunches of questions here under the story. So how do snails move? The first question. So how do snails move? Very interesting. They creep. So do you know the action of creeping? Okay. Well, actually creeping, so this is the action when you do it without any legs or something like very often. So little children who can't walk very well or some animals, they creep. Good. Where do land snails live? Okay. So in the text it says, land snails live in shady places. Okay, they live in shady places. Shady places are the places where the sunlight can't get in. What do many land snails eat? Wow, very good question. So they eat rotting plants. So it says here, many land snails eat rotting plants. Very interesting. Where do snails lay their eggs? Okay, they lay eggs in the ground. Interesting. Okay. So, as you see, we have, tried to create, autobiography. So, we tried to create a story about the 4 seasons. Then we, tried to create a story with the questions. When you compose or make up the questions after the story and try to find the answers from the text, it will be very interesting for you to concentrate on the story and somehow to work on the questions. Like, so, present simple tense is used in 3 ways, in 3 forms, like in affirmative form, in interrogative form, and negative form as well. So, for today's presentation, I have included several assignments for you. So, assignment 1 is given in the text. So, assignment 2 is requires you to rewrite the autobiography by Sabohat Maniscalco in negative form. And assignment 3 requires you to write the story about snails in negative form. And so I do hope that the presentation was very interesting for you and you will practice writing and developing your stories by using simple present tense. That is all for today. See you next time. Take care. Bye.